These are the warm-ups for lesson 3.6 day 1. Pause the video, write them down, try them on your own, and then we'll go through them together. Number 1 is 6 and 1/6 minus 3 and 5/6. Well, here's the deal. It'd be really nice if we could just subtract the whole numbers, subtract the fractions, but in this case, our fractions are not very nice. There's a couple different things we could do. We can change these both to improper, then solve, or we can borrow from the 6. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to borrow 1 whole from the 6. So that's going to turn into 5. And then in this problem, 1 whole is 6 out of 6 because our denominator is 6. So I'm going to add that 1 whole to my fraction of 1/6. 6 over 6 plus 1 over 6 is 7/6. So these two numbers right here, 6 and 1/6 and 5 and 7/6, are the exact same. I just rearranged it a little bit because then when I subtract 3 and 5/6, it makes my life a lot easier. 5 minus 3 is 2. 7/6 minus 5/6 leaves me with 2/6, which simplifies to 2 and 1/3. The next one is negative 12.5 minus 4.55. Since my first number is smaller, I have to add up on this subtraction. So instead of minus 4 and 55/100ths, I'm going to change it to plus negative 4 and 55/100ths. Now they have the same sign, so I'm going to add them together and keep the sign. Remember, when we add decimals, we line up the decimal. Add these together. Where I have that blank spot, I'm going to fill in a 0. 0 plus 5 is 5. 5 plus 5 is 10, making sure I carry down that decimal. So we get 17 and 5/100ths, and then I just have to add on that negative because it's same sign, add, and keep the sign. Then we have 3 and 3/8 plus 2 and 7/8. Again, few different ways that we could do this. We could add together the whole numbers, add together the fractions, or the way I'm going to do it is by changing them both to improper. I'm going to use that strategy of MAD, multiply, add, keep the denominator. 3 times 8 is 24, plus 3 is 27, so this is 27/8 because I keep the denominator. Plus 2 times 8 is 16. 16 plus 7 is 23. Keep the denominator. Now, since they have a like denominator, I keep the denominator, add the numerators. This would be 50. Then I'm just going to simplify. 8 goes into 50 6 times. 8 times 6 is 48. Which means there's 2 left over, 2/8. And I can simplify that, divide both by 2, and I'm left with 6 and 1/4. This is day 1 of lesson 3.6, and 3.6 is all about adding fractions with different or unlike denominators. So before, when we added fractions with like denominators, we just added the numerators and we kept the denominator. In order to add unlike fractions, they have to have a common denominator. So this first one you're going to want to write in your notes, 4/12 plus 2/5. We need to figure out, before we can add the numerators, what is a common denominator that these two share. When in doubt, you can always multiply the two of them together. So 12 times 5 is 60, so that's what I'm going to do for each of the denominators. Then I have to look back, so 4/12. In order to get 12 to 60, I had to multiply it by 5. Whatever I do to the denominator, I have to do to the numerator. So then I take 4 times 5. 4 times 5 is 20. And here's what we're doing here. 4/12 is the exact same as 12/60. I'm not changing the value of it. I'm just changing how it's written so that they can have common denominators. Then for 2/5, 5 times 12 is 60. So to get to 60, 5 times 12, if I multiply the denominator by 12, I have to multiply the numerator by 12. 2 times 12 is 24. And now, then that they have common denominators, I can add the numerators, keep the denominator. 20 plus 24 is 44. Keep the denominator of 60. Then I need to simplify. I can divide both of these by 4. 44 divided by 4 is 11. 60 divided by 4 is 15. I can't simplify that any further, so my answer is 11/15. Then we have -5/6 minus 7/9. So I am going to rewrite this with a common denominator. And when I look at 6 and 9, we could multiply 6 and 9 to get 54, but 6 and 9 both share 18, because 9 times 2 is 18 and 6 times 3 is 18. So to get 5/6 to have a denominator of 18, I had to multiply the denominator by 3. If I multiply the denominator by 3, I have to multiply the numerator by 3. 3 times 5 is 15. And I already had my negative sign there. If you didn't, that would be the time to add it in. And then we have minus. To get 9 to 18, we multiply it by 2. If we multiply the denominator by 2, we have to multiply the numerator by 2. 7 times 2 is 14. Now, I'm going to change that minus sign to plus negative. I add the opposite. So now I have -15/18 plus -14/18. Now they have the same sign, so I'm just going to add and keep. -15 plus -14 gives me -29, and I keep my denominator of 18. To change this to a mixed number, 18 goes into -29 1 time. And then to get from 18 to 29, there's 11 left over, and I keep my denominator of 18. So I'm left with -1 and 11/18. Couple more examples. 7/8 plus 1/16. Again, they have to have a common denominator. Common denominator for these two would just be 16. 8 times 2 is 16. 7 times 2 is 14. And then 1/16, I don't have to change that one. That's nice. Now I just add the numerators, keep my denominator. 14 plus 1 is 15. My denominator stays 16. So my answer is 15/16. Then we have 5/6 minus 1/3. Again, they need a common denominator. I look at 6 and 3. Well, a common denominator would just be 6. I can keep 5/6 the same, and then 3 times 2 gets me to 6. 1 times 2 gets me to 2. Now I just subtract their numerators, keep the denominator. 5 minus 2 is 3. Keep my denominator of 6. Divide both by 3 to simplify. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So I'm left with 1/2. And then one quick story problem. It says you're getting ready for a backpacking trip. You pack 2/3 pounds of food and 7/8 pounds of equipment into a 1/4 pound backpack. What is the total weight you will carry? So we need to add all of these together. 2/3 for food, 7/8 pounds for equipment, and 1/4 pound for the backpack. I need to figure out what a common denominator could be for the 3 of these. So first I'm going to start by looking at 3 times 8, which is 24. Is 24 divisible by 4? Yes, it is. So I know that these can all have a denominator of 24. It might take you a little bit of time to find a denominator, and that's okay. 3 times 8 is 24, which means I have to multiply 2 by 8. 2 times 8 is 16. 8 times 3 is 24. 7 times 3 is 21. And then 4 times 6 is 24. 1 times 6 is 6. So now, since they all have the same denominator, I know my denominator stays the same. And then I'm just going to add together 16 plus 21 plus 6. And I get 43. Then I just need to simplify. 24 goes into 43 one time. 24 times 1 is 24. And then what's left over to get from 24 to 43? Let's see, we have 24, 34, 44 would be too much, so it's going to be 19. And 24 is our denominator. So we have 1 and 19/24 pounds. Very specific. But hey, when you're camping, that's actually a thing. People do weigh.